All right, people. Man, I feel like I'm on the evening news here in the photography video studio. We're hopefully putting our grid overhead here soon in the next couple of weeks. But right now I've got a single light on and sitting at this nice comfy desk with a comfy chair. And I feel like I haven't done this in a long time where I just sat down and talked to you about sort of State of the Union. I've done, State of the Union Obsessed Garage addresses before, and what was the one I did? Like I got that $300 check from Walmart that sort of put my life into perspective, and I feel like maybe I used to do this more often, and so I think now is probably a good time to sit down and chat with you about where the channel has been and where I think the business is headed, and just kind of share with you some of my deeper thoughts, if you will, on where I think Obsessed Garage is headed, and what I'm excited about. But I guess I'll start off with just talking about some of my concerns have been. I'm really surprised. I've been spending a large percentage of my life trying to predict economic events. I've never got any of them even remotely close to right ever, and so sometime in my early 30s, I just stopped making predictions. I stopped reading the Wall Street Journal. I stopped reading Barron's and all of the periodicals, and I just read research, because research is more interesting to me anyway. Same thing with like products. I'm so much less interested in the future and much more interested in what exists, and then how can I use something that exists and apply it to whatever project or whatever thing I'm doing. Like for instance, now I'm working on building a house, and I think I'm going to chase all kinds of interesting things that maybe I'm sure others have considered but maybe haven't executed on. And I think that's sort of my one. If I had a superpower, that would be it. To take professional grade stuff and then figure out how to apply it to something simple. And so I'm making another stupid prediction, which I probably shouldn't do, but I certainly would have thought that the pandemic would have been an economic disaster, and it's been quite the contrary. I mean, part of it is largely due, I would guess, to a significant change in monetary policy and stimulus policy and things like that. But the supply chain is just so shocking to me. I mean, now as we look back, just like housing crisis or the tech wreck or gas shortages in the 70s or the failure of the Russian currency in '98. I mean, they all seem so logical, seem so simple. Now you see these supply chain issues and you think, well, shoot, I could have predicted that, and of course I certainly didn't, and my guess is most of you haven't either. And so, Obsessed Garage as a business, I'm in a much different position now than I was before. Because when I first started this, it was big companies to let me buy a few of their items with not a lot of commitment, but still have a reasonable enough margin in order to make it work, to hire a few people to help me out and pay for a box to put it in. Of course, the ask of you has been that you paid the retail pricing on it, since I'm not going to be buying in bulk from one or two manufacturers. I'm going to be curating things from all over the place. And so I'm hoping to be able to sort of help pay for that, or pay for that in goodwill by making hopefully great content, great videos, and essentially being in your living room, being your sort of traveling salesman in your living room, teaching you about products. And so the issue I've had from day one is that and it's been such a blessing, is that the demand that I've stumbled upon on various products in the very beginning, the demand far exceeded the supply capability. And so the difference is I'm such small potatoes in the world of economics that I didn't drive the price up of things, unlike the supply-demand curve change now, where price continues to rise. Inflation is introduced. We may even be, introducing or seeing our first, and at least in this generation, our first hyperinflation, which is really concerning. But I've been living inside of this create a demand for a product and then go try to get the product, and then I can't get it because the demand, is far exceeding the supply. And so I've been dealing with that for a long time, and we've done it in pockets of different products in the store where, we've tested out different things and learned quite a bit about how to take an order for something and call it a pre-order, or call it a back order, or whatever you want to phrase it, and then have you just wait in line, lock your spot down. So I've been saying this forever: reserve your spot, lock your spot down. I've been having all kinds of Mormonisms that I throw out there about what it means to pay for a product and then get it as soon as it comes in. And so we've done that. I've done that with Krenzel pressure washers and Mosmatic stuff and MTM stuff and various other things. We've done it with our giveaways, with T-shirts and things like that. But that's been a demand issue, in that you and I together, you the viewer and me the guy talking about this stuff, has created a small demand, as well as then other retailers following what people are asking for. Like, for instance, with the Mosmatic gun, I made the Mosmatic gun popular, and then other retailers were starting to get inquiries, like other pressure washing outlets, discount outlets would start to get emails from people saying, hey, I want to buy this Mosmatic gun, do you have it? And of course they didn't have it either, but then they started placing orders for it, and so the demand goes up in this small little niche. And so I've learned how to manage I've learned how to manage my orders, but what I have never learned how to manage was the reason a lot of people were going elsewhere. A lot of it is because I'm kind of a jerk. I'm not very nice, or at least the perception that I'm not very nice. I tell it like it is. I say what is so, and so part of the issue in the beginning was that people were going out and looking for a product elsewhere. And then it turned into, now there's natural competition. People will go look for a better price on something. And I'm asking people to honor the source, and been talking about all this kind of stuff for years. And so we've dabbled with this concept and have struggled. It's hard to explain, but we've struggled with the follow-up. So you get 100 people that are waiting for their Krenzel pressure washer. In the beginning, I would just cut and paste I'd create a .csv file, I'd export it from Shopify, and then I would just cut and paste and just email to all the people that are waiting on their Krenzel pressure washers, hey, here's where we're at. Here's what I know. Here's when I think they're coming. Here's how many I think we're getting 150, and we have 100 sold, so we're still okay. All of you are going to get one. And so we've dabbled in different ways of teaching, or I guess not teaching, but sharing updates on products. And so we've learned a lot over the years, and now we have a technical support team. In the beginning it was me, and then and then Chris was helping with emails, and then we hired Kyle, and then Kyle built out the team, and now Tommy has 5 or 6 people that are answering emails all the time. And we've toyed with the idea of having a phone line and not, and how does that work? And naturally, in this environment where we're seeing something that I don't think we've ever seen in history, we're seeing a massive amount of demand and no supply. You're seeing it on grocery store shelves. You're seeing it if you're buying appliances, if you're building a house, if you're buying a car. We're going to see it more and more and more often, as it's fascinating because there's a labor crisis. There is a weird political policy sort of purview or overview of regulate. So we're in a period where we need to deregulate as much as possible, and yet just because of the bias toward a democratic type policy change, you're just seeing this confluence of events that's creating, I think, a bit of a disaster. which makes me nervous. So it's a little different than what we've learned about, having a little bit of extra demand that then induces increased supply. The issue is with a odd regulatory environment combined with a lack of labor force because of money pumped into the system, and you end up with this potential disaster. And so I've been thinking a lot about, and I've had to really work with all of the people here at OG to say, hey, I can't do this on my own. Can all of us together, and we had our roughly 26 people in a room, can we all together figure out a way to change the focus of our site from ship as quickly as possible, in-stock inventory? I mean, that's the goal. That's always the goal. That's number one goal. Build an appropriate amount of inventory, if not I've been inappropriate by the amount of inventory that I've chased, having too much inventory. I want the inventory here. I want to hoard the stuff so that way the moment your order comes in, we can go pick it, pack it, ship it, do it better than anybody else. And then there's, yes, you're gonna pay for that, and we're asking you to pay for shipping. But that's goal number one. But if goal number one physically, in reality, cannot be accomplished, it cannot be accomplished. Now I'm running around like crazy trying to figure out how can I build pressure washer hoses where, looking at, well, man, if I can bring in detailing chemicals in bulk and I can start to hoard that stuff, I'll always have it in stock. How do I bring in, I'm air freighting in items to try to avoid the overseas stuff, or the traveling overseas issues. How can we overcome these things? And I think even doing all of this stuff, I think this is a seminal moment for me as I guess now a business owner, and I think that it's going to require a shift of our entire organization. Now, from your viewpoint as the purchaser, I can see how it doesn't seem all that difficult. Okay, Matt, you put a product on the site, you change the tab to say, come to me or pay for it, get it when you get it, and that's it. The problem is the support of that, in that, every month we get, say 3,000 to 4,000 orders now. It's our average, in the high 3,000 orders per month. In this November, Black Friday, we'll probably end up with 6 or 7, maybe 8,000 orders, so double the normal flow. And so, that trajectory continues to grow. And in fact, that order number is down because of the stuff that shows out of stock. A good percentage, I say 35% of our store shows out of stock. So how are we going to follow up? If I just mentioned, we have difficulties following up with you on, if on the 100 people waiting for a Krensla, and what's the right amount of correspondence with people. If I have a certain number of people that have the information that's needed to answer your questions, I can't have a dedicated phone line to that because we'd never answer it, because it'd be ringing off the hook of people trying to figure out where's my stuff. So the ask of the team was, could we build a system? Could we build it to where, could we build some way to, without me hiring a bunch of call center people that won't have the answers you're looking for, and then I'd have to raise the price of everything because then I'd have all this labor, this unskilled labor that really isn't helpful to cause more problems. But like calling Comcast to get your modem activated. How can we do this? How can we follow up? And why would anybody want to do this? Why would anybody want to pre-order their stuff? So I thought about this when I ordered my appliances for my house. So I ordered them in February. I moved into the house February 5th. I ordered my appliances like February 10th or something like that. I ordered a Sub-Zero fridge, Sub-Zero freezer, Wolf double oven, Wolf cooktop, a Sub-Zero outdoor fridge, a Lynx grill, an Evo cooktop, and a Wolf microwave, Scotsman ice maker. So I ordered all these things. And I paid for them up front. and I knew that I was going to have to wait. I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait. By the way, I got those appliances around October. So between August and October, they kind of trickled in. I ordered a couple of hoods, a wolf hood, and a Best hood for outdoors. So I ordered, $100,000 worth of stuff, and I had to pay for that up front. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to lock it down. I wanted to lock my place in line, and I also had an agreement. This is where the epiphany came in on doing, just split shipping orders. We had an agreement that when each item came in, that they would deliver it to me. So that way the product wasn't sitting on the shelf and my Sub-Zero freezer wasn't sitting there and someone from some other salesman, some other job would come and take that, knowing that my other stuff wasn't there, and then I'd be in this constant endless loop of never having anything. And I did that with tires, and I did it with tile, and I did it with flooring, and I did it with an air conditioner, like a mini split, and I did it with Cree lights, and then I did a bunch with the yarn building here. And we're seeing it more and more, and I think you were seeing it even at the grocery store, like when we saw toilet paper and paper towels unavailable. And so it dawned on me that what if we just created an entire site that was based on a sole focus of inventory, ship immediately, but a secondary but almost equal focus of lock your spot down so you have a shot to get your stuff in as timely a fashion as possible. The unpredictability is, what does timely fashion mean? And the only way to overcome the fact that it may not be timely is to follow up, is to email you with a listing of where's your stuff, and then how can I sort of entertain you along the way. And so I'm attempting to take this concern I have of potential ruin, potential failure, inside of every economic shift or regime change or fall of a certain society. There are always those that figure out a way to navigate and figure out a way to provide the world with value. I'm not so concerned about capitalizing. I already do exactly what I want to do every single day. And if this Obsessed Garage thing shrunk by 75%, I would still be able to do what I want to do every day. I would just do it on a much smaller scale, wouldn't reach as much people, wouldn't be able to deliver the things the world's asking for. But I think that I think the world is going to want what it is Obsessed Garage is ascending towards. The end-to-end solution for the garage includes detailing and flooring and lighting and cabinets and tools and all kinds of other things like dry ice cleaning, all these different things that can go on in the garage to make it the marquee place of a home, that there are many of us that want that. And I want to continue to chase professional grade products and curate them from all over the world. And so if I want that to happen, and we just talked about this confluence of events that's going to put, I think, a lot of companies, a lot of the world on their heels, and there's going to be potentially a lot of failures. Instead of what I hope is that we build this whole system as a team and then we don't even need it. That inventory eventually catches up, the supply chain gets under control, people come back to the dock, start working, they start to lift some of these ridiculous policies and just have products show up, and then maybe Amazon and Target and some of these big manufacturers figure out a way around it and start creating shipping services and things like that. And we end up seeing a major shift in how things are done in the future. But in the interim, how many companies have to fail in order for us to make it through this thing, supply and demand change? And so I thought about how could we provide a service where you want to lock your spot down for a product that's with an unknown destination, and then how can we keep you up to date on it? And then why would you do that? What would be the advantages of it? And so I sat the team down and I said, here's what I'm thinking. I want to change the messaging. Can you guys deliver on this? Can we do this? Can we shift our website to accept places in line. So that way it doesn't show out of stock, 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 out of stock. It shows lock down your spot. We call it RYS, reserve your spot, reserve your spot, reserve your spot, with a very clear direction. I think we this is live now, by the way, but with a very clear direction. We have some work to do on this. Of when you hover over that, when do we think that product is coming? Now, a lot of that is a bunch of nonsense, so we don't know, when things are coming. They didn't know. They kept giving me these dates of when my Sub-Zero refrigerator was coming. It was like June. I ordered it in February. It didn't show up until like the end of October, mid-October, or something like that. So it was pointless. We just kept pushing the date. And so I want to make sure that we're able to share with people when we think it's coming, but we also want to share our conviction on that. How convicted are we? Do we actually have a tracking number of when that container is coming over? And so I want to create some transparency around, when you do reserve your spot, when you do put your money up, what are you getting for that, and how are we going to keep you up to date, so that way you're not trying to get a hold of us every day. Where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? And if this gets months and months into this, I think it might be years into this possibility of supply-demand changes and shifts culturally. I think we could end up with 10, 12, 15, 18, 20,000 people. And if every day you have 200 people wanting to know where their stuff is, just a small percentage of people, 1% of people just want to know where their stuff is, 20,000 people waiting, then it just becomes untenable to answer and do all the research and find where everything is. So we need to be very proactive about keeping you up to date. So that's the promise, that we're gonna chase that. We're gonna be as effective as possible. We're gonna make adjustments, and we're gonna continue to improve upon that and give people estimates of where we think things are, what the update is. Be prepared for moving targets. Be prepared for candor, and be prepared for us to say, hey, most of this stuff is going to be 6 months out. Where it used to be 6 days out or 6 minutes out. But that, I think, people are going to have to become accustomed to. And so the other question to answer, which I'd mentioned earlier, was, well, what benefits do you get? Why would I give you my money up front? That doesn't make any sense, Matt. Why would I do that? Why don't you just take deposits? The problem I found, I did this a couple of times, I took a deposit. And then I'm talking in the thousands. I'm not exaggerating. These are real numbers. There are 3,900 orders is our average monthly number of orders, which is only a couple hundred orders a day or less. And so this concept of positive side of giving your money up front versus the deposit is that, so if I had, let's say I had 1,000 orders for like the Ego short blower thingy, and I took a 10% deposit on all of them. And so then let's say by the time they show up, we have 1,200 orders and 1,000 come. And so we get in this, it ends up becoming an exponential curve, right, toward order completion. So we get 1,000, we ship the first 200 that are fully paid, right? So the fully paid people get priority, the first fully paid. And then those who put deposits would be by time. So then we send out an email and say, hey, the thing showed up, we can't ship it till you pay for it. And so then 50% of those people pay for it, and those ship out. So then they take priority. And then you still have, then we went from 200 that got done. We had 1,200 orders. Let's say 500 more went out, so we got 700. We still have 300 widgets sitting on the shelf, 300 Ego blowers. And then we send another email out, and another 50% pay. So then we got 50, and we got 150 more. So we're doing this dance, and at the end of it, all these people who lock their spot down in line by putting their deposit were on vacation or unavailable or just don't check their email or it went to spam. Then we end up finally shipping out the last 150, and 10 people that were in the first 100 orders don't get it because they were out and about, and then they're cranky and yelling and complaining and wanting their money back. So we do this dance, this exponential dance, where we never quite get all the darn blower tips shipped out. We never quite get all the people in line at the right point. So why not do this? Everybody's paid. As soon as it comes, it goes out the door. That's been my experience. It's much more efficient. Yes, the disadvantage is you're giving me the money up front, which is refundable. You know, give it back to you if you don't want to. You decided you changed your mind, which puts me at risk because I've got the order out for the item, and the item might be in transit. I've already paid for that, and then you take the money back, and then I got to go find someone else to sell it to, which shouldn't be an issue in a supply-demand environment like what we have. But there's a big risk to me that what happens if all the demand dries up, and then I got all this stuff coming. And so the paid in full thing is to make sure that we can make this thing work. But then the other benefit to you is that I think the way to do this is when you pay in full, I lock the price down. Right? So I was trying to think about, how do I pitch this to you? How do I tell you if this is a good thing? Or take a bad thing and make it as good as we possibly can and take the extra effort to do it. Because again, on the surface, it seems so simple. You just take my money. Now just take my money and then hold on to the money. But then there's the follow-up, and there's the rebuilding the website to make it accept this, and all the work that goes into making this happen, and of course making sure that we're keeping people in their place in line. And what happens if you order 3 things that are on back order? When do we ship the stuff out? So the first agreement that I'm having with you is that I just talked about potential that we're probably in a hyperinflation environment. The price is locked. Buy a Krensel for $1,000 today. That's the price today, $1,000. It goes up to $1,200 between now and 6 months from now. You've been waiting 6 months or 3 months or a month and a half or whatever it is. It's now 20% more. You paid $1,000. You're not paying any more. You're paid in full. The thing shows up. You're number 8 in line. It goes out the instant it hits our doors, and we're not asking for the $200 more. So I'm going to eat the price difference, the price change. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to attempt to try to do the same thing with the vendors and say, hey, I've got 150 orders for this thing is $100,000 worth of pressure washers. I'm going to pay $100,000 for those to fill those 100 orders now, which again should give us, all of us that are paid up, paid in full, reserved our spot. We should get ours faster than those who are just, paying on terms or paying on time or something like that. So I think there's going to be a trickle down for you paying up front, me paying up front, the vendors hopefully then paying all their suppliers up front. And so we're going to have a strategic supply-demand advantage by locking our spots down. So you locked your price down. I hopefully locked my price down, which in some cases I probably won't be able to, but I'm going to try to. And so it gets you an effective discount. I know it seems ridiculous. You put your money up front, you're getting a discount on hyperinflating prices on things. That's one big advantage. Another thing is you actually got a shot to get your stuff. Because if we get in this thing where we've had this happen before, we've had this happen since the beginning. I want a Mosmatic gun in the beginning of 2017, 2018 when we couldn't get enough of them, couldn't keep up with them all through 2000. We finally got stock in 2019. Then I came out with my own gun and made a huge commitment to that, took a big risk. Luckily, you guys have been buying them. But I know that there are many, many people that get on this with like our PP dribble plug or like our Cox hose rails or something like that, where you wait for it to come in stock, it shows up in stock, but all the stock is already sold because everybody, people have already reserved. Their Krensel pressure washer was already reserved. Or the PP dribble plug, you didn't get to your email fast enough, so we got 100 of them, and those 100 sold in seconds. And then we waited 3 months, they showed up, you missed the cut, you're number 301, you don't get one. And you can't even place the order because it wouldn't allow you to place the order to lock down the next shipment. So you get on this everlasting cycle where pretty much everything that's going to be coming in for the foreseeable future is already sold. because of all the people who have already locked their spot down. So I want to give people the opportunity, like Press-All. People have been yelling at me forever, Matt, just make the Press-All bottles available for me to purchase. I'll put my money up. I'm going to buy 30 bottles or 5 bottles or 1 bottle. I want to try one. And I've been missing the email, or I've been missing the cut because they've been selling out too quickly. Or I didn't think about it at that time, so I want to lock my spot down. So when you reserve your spot, you're locking down the price. You're also ensuring that at some point, hopefully in weeks, but hopefully worst case months, you get the thing. You get it, and you get it in a timely fashion. I ordered a Ford Transit van. I was trying to pay for the thing. Like, let me just pay for it now. That way, it may or may not advantage me. The problem is that Ford hasn't built the system to, like, if they build 100 transit vans, that the 50 of them are paid, those 50 get them first. But they haven't invested in this infrastructure like what I'm attempting to do. And so there's this hopefully a much better assurance, a much better probability to get your stuff. And there may be a time where certain products, they just can't make them, and we're 11 months in, and we just say, okay, we don't have an ETA, it's not looking good for this product, let's give everybody their money back. That's going to be a stinger of a day if it's a really big, expensive product. But I mean, I'm assuming that's going to happen with some stuff. Again, I hope the supply chain softens, everybody makes all these predictions. Remember 14 days to flatten the curve, remember that one? Well, we're still wearing masks in airports, and it seems like we're going to be doing that forever. We still take our shoes off, for gosh sakes. When did the Patriot Act get enacted? I'm fearful that this supply chain issue could last for many years, as it appears there's not really much happening, certainly from a government perspective on all governments internationally that are really doing much to fix this. So you reserve your spot, you get it. It seems pretty simple to me. That's a huge advantage. And then remember, I was telling you about the story of me ordering $100,000 worth of appliances, which, remember, I sold a big house, was buying a bigger house, that didn't go through, made a bunch of money on the big house, didn't buy the big house, bought a little house. So now I'm rich as heck, and so I bought a bunch of fancy appliances. Remember that. So don't hold that against me. I'm not balling that hard. I just bought a lot of appliances. It cost a lot of money, and I'll hopefully get that back someday. So remember that this difficulty that you run into, where you'll see this with a lot of I've experienced this in my life and my various careers, and experienced this in home theater stuff. We'd have it where, let's say I was putting aside, I had a customer pay $100,000 for this crazy distributed audio system and TVs and everything. And he's building his house, and so it's a 6 or 7, 8, 12 month, 18 month lead time at times. He comes in, pays the money, we create the invoice. I take the invoice, I print 100 of them out, and I go in the back and I take all the product and I stage it and I reserve it, and it's got a reserve tag. And then some things are out of stock, but I have mine reserved. It's already paid for. It's not available in the system, but I've got Sonny Miller's over there trying to sell this Sony TV that I've got a tag on. He comes to me and says, "Hey Matt, when's that order going out?" I say, "I don't know yet. We're probably still 9 months out." "Okay, great. Can I have that, and I'll replace it for you later." And next thing you know, 12 months rolls around, the freaking thing's ready to go, we're ready to build the system, we're ready to do the install, and Sonny and Bill and Bob and Sam and Tom and myself, we all robbed from this pile of reserved items, and now I can't do the $100,000 install because we don't freaking have anything. And then you start scrambling. Then I'm trying to rob from Sonny's ticket of his reserved $100,000 order that's going out, and you get in this dance. This is how it works in the back rooms of companies. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that with the gosh darn. And I said, look, I'll pay for it. I ended up not needing to. But when my fridge comes, give me the freaking fridge. When the microwave comes, give me the microwave. When the hood comes, give me the microwave. I don't care if you have to drive here 9 times. I ordered 12 items. I don't care if you got to drive here 9 times. Just do the trip charge. Because I don't want this happening, the Sonny Miller thing where we're tagged, and then when it's time to do the project, that I don't have what I need. And then 2 years go by and I still don't have the fridge because I didn't need the fridge by itself. I needed the fridge and the freezer together. Just give me the fridge, and then when the freezer comes, give me the freezer. And this is a real stinger on our part, is that the way that we do this for you is we're going to split ship things. We're going to split ship once, and then we'll figure out where things go. But we're going to split up orders. And I don't know if you know this, but when Amazon splits things up, and you get a box from here and a box, sometimes you get 3 or 4 boxes in a day, and it comes at 3 or 4 different times. You have to remember that either it's an Amazon product that they have massive margin on because they went out and they created like Amazon Essentials and just made something and made it in massive volumes, so they have huge margins on this product. They can eat those sort of things. Or most of the things that are sold in the Amazon Marketplace are sold by vendors. Guess what Amazon does? They send the shipping bill back to the vendor. I actually have a follower who may watch this video who will remain nameless, but he works on a large national account for a large national shipping provider, and he said, Matt, you'd be surprised that even the Amazons of the world, they don't pay much less than what an Obsessed Garage would pay. It's a percentage, maybe 25% or 30% less, but there's still a bottom dollar number that it costs to ship a product, and so that cost just gets passed off to the vendor. And so we are just going to have to eat this and hope that the margins work out in the end. But let's say you order 9 things, 6 of them are in stock, 3 of them are not. We're going to split it up, ship you the 6 things. You paid for them, they're yours. Ship you the things. And we haven't done this in the past because it's very inefficient and it costs a box, costs more to ship. You get discounts when you ship if it was 3 boxes, or shoot, I might have been able to put all 9 of those things in the 1 box. Well, now I need another box, I need another shipping label. Minimum shipping costs are $7 or $8, something like that. And so that's $7 or $8 of profitability. What happens if it's like a $100 order? And it costs, and you paid $7 in shipping, and I've got to ship things 2 or 3 times. But the key here is that I think we're going to alleviate issues of the Sonny Miller thing where we're taking a tag off the Sony TV, and then that Sony TV is not available. And the new Sony TV goes up in price, and then the customer kind of gets screwed in this whole deal when we're trying to do the thing. So we're going to split up your items as well. And I know that doesn't seem like a real advantage because you've all been coached and taught that that's just the way companies do things. But it's not really a good thing to do because it's one of the things that drives up prices of things. But I think we're going to have to for the time being. So I think that this State of the Union address, I'm pretty encouraged by, the team here at OG really embraced this idea. I think I may have scared them a little bit and say, if we don't do this, we're freaking screwed. I don't know that we can survive, especially with now we'll be at 30 people by the end of the year here, beginning of next year. I don't think that we could survive if we don't figure out a way to give people some value in the world. And if we don't have anything here, we don't have anything in stock, we don't have anything available, and a lot of them we don't have an ETA on, and we don't have any leverage because we don't have anything sold, and so I don't have any way to go to the vendors or the manufacturers and get things in priority fashion. I think that we'll be back down to 6 people and hoping to hold on and hoping I cut people quickly enough and cut costs quickly enough to survive. I think that's going to happen with a lot of businesses if it continues on this path. I hope my prediction is wrong. Remember, it's always been wrong, but I just have a strong gut feeling here that this is a service that I think people want, and I think it's a service, if we've figured out how to do this, that if we can deliver on this and deliver really well, it'll really aid us in the future when we continue to create. Remember, I said back to taking on a new niche product and creating a niche demand for it. I'm always going to have supply-demand issues if we continue to find great products that are made generally in short supply because they weren't really well spoken for, or they haven't been used in an environment like a garage or a personal environment where there's a bunch of us that want it, or we didn't know we wanted it. I think that this system that we're building is going to serve me well, not just in the current environment, but it's going to serve me and you well in reserving your spot, locking it down, and doing that for not just current hard-to-get products, but future hard-to-get stuff. I know I'll probably take some heat for this about, you're screwing people, taking their money, and or whatever story they make up, but I think most of you understand this, and I think most of you are looking for this. I know I'm looking for this. I wanted some Toyo Open Country All-Terrain 3s, and I want them. I want them right now, but they don't have them. And I want to get them when they come in. I don't want to do the dance of they come in and I don't get them because I didn't lock my spot. And so the system at 4 Parts accidentally let me purchase them. And then the darn people there keep emailing me trying to get out of the deal. I'm like, are you stupid? No, keep the money there. I'm not going to go bankrupt by paying them $1,400 up front. Actually, I don't even think it was that much. It was like $1,200 or something like that. Keep the money. Give me them first. That's what I want. Now, there's no guarantees that I'm going to get it first, because they'll probably get lost in the shuffle because they haven't built the back end to serve this like we have. I'm telling you that we're going to get it to you first, as soon as humanly possible. So you lock your price. We're going to split up your order and ship it out to you. It'll be the same OG level shipping. If you bought anything from us before, you know that we're going to ship it to you. In fact, generally the only thing that get damaged is stuff that we drop ship. And you're going to get it. You're going to get the stuff. And I'm going to use our leverage that we've created together to go and fight for product. To get it first. To get it as soon as possible. And to make the case that, hey, we're the ones that ordered it. We're the ones that locked it down. A customer has put his money up and has gotten his place reserved. So let's go. Let's get it. So the other thing I was trying to figure out is that, well, how can we make this kind of fun? How can we make this interesting? And so I also asked Brad and the team and said, hey, could we, at least reasonably periodically, we can almost create like a new inside the Hex program, like inside the back order. Somebody sent me a couple of ideas, or inside the reserve your spot, or the back door or something. Call it something cool. We'll come up with something. But to create almost like an exclusive, like in order for you to get this video from me, you've got to have something on back order. You got to have something reserved. You got to stop saying back order. That sounds so negative. I'm trying to make this sound like a positive. So once a week we're going to send out an email to keep you up to date with where your stuff is. That hopefully keeps you off our back, keeps you satisfied, helps you understand. It also will probably help you understand, let's say you do have 1 or 2 things on back order and you're thinking about buying 1 or 2 other things, you'll have some inside access to when the things are coming, so you can kind of use that to time when you're purchasing things. But just bear with us for a little while as we figure out, you guys always come up with questions we didn't think about. We'll continue to improve this process. And then, like I said, I'd like to continue to have this available, this process, for a while, forever, or not a while, but forever available in hard to get products. So anyway, that's my State of the Union update. I think I'm so encouraged. I mean, we've continued to see, even with lack of supply, continue to see huge support from all of you. The Inside the Hex program continues to grow substantially, where I'm sharing a lot of personal information, and I do a lot of videos like this where I sit down in front of the camera and just share thoughts and life lessons and business topics and things like that. We've got some cool ideas for things coming up. You saw we had a week of some of the employees sharing their day in life, which is interesting to see what they do here, and it's been such a humbling thing to sit there and watch each of the young guys grow, and it's been challenging for me. I'm not a people person, to transition from just pure inanimate objects to managing humans all day. It's been a real psyche shift for me. But the culture that we're hoping to build here is that we're able to deliver on the value that we're espousing to be able to deliver on. Like this reserve your spot thing is going to take a Herculean effort to in the back end go chase down the product and use that as leverage to get product with the vendors that we generally have great relationships in the beginning to begin with, and then to keep everybody up to date where their stuff is, and then of course to deliver the stuff and deliver it to you when it shows up here. So yeah, let's hope that none of this matters, and in 6 weeks all of the ships arrive at port, all the product is offloaded. We have an amazing retail Thanksgiving and Christmas experience for the world. We don't have any supply chain issues anymore, and everything goes back to normal. If that happens, I'll just be glad that we built this back-end system, because we'll be able to use it for other things in the future. But if it doesn't, we're going to be prepared, and appreciate your support. So hope you guys, if you'd like me to see me talk more about this inside access stuff, on the YouTube channel, let me know. Just put it in the comment down below, and I always read them. And I don't respond to every single one of them like I used to, but I do read every single one of them. And if you got something negative to say, just keep it to yourself. It helps me sleep at night when you do that. I really do appreciate when you just keep that to yourself. But I think this is what we're looking for. It's what I'm looking for personally. I want to be able to lock my spot down. I want that opportunity to get my place in line and to ensure that I'm going to get what it is I'm interested in getting, and get it in as timely fashion as possible. Especially if I know that the company that I'm working with is at least giving it their best shot. They're going after it, and they're doing the best they can to get it. And if the best they can is better than, at least above average, I would say we're in the top 1% of best we can. That's all I'd ask for. So thanks for your support. Head to obsessedgarage.com. We actually have a page on there. We'll put a link in the description and the card up in the upper right to go check out the RYS page with some more detail on how we're doing this and some of the pros and cons. And I don't think Brad and Bryce let any cons show up there. I'm sure there's some cons. You're going to give me an interest-free loan, I guess. The only problem is I'm going to end up paying big interest when the value of things goes up and I have to pay a lot more for them. So I hope you can appreciate that. So thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I'm going to keep chasing this dream. I'm glad that you're along the ride with me, and yeah, I think this is going to be good. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.